Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Schallers Pump, the oldest bar in Chicago, in business since 1881. Amy, have you ever been to Schallers Pump? 3714 South Halstead, to refresh your recollection.
No.
In Bridgeport. Schallers Pump.
Oh, no.
The pump.
Oh, the pump. You mean the pub or the pump?
The pump.
Oh, I have.
Schallers Pump. The pump, as it's known, since 1881. 3700 block of South Halstead in Bridgeport.
I have not.
Okay.
I've been to the pub.
Great.
33rd place, I think. That's
Congratulations. That is not what we're talking about. In business since 1881 until Saturday night. Closed for good.
Oh, no. Why?
Why? Property taxes. Schallers Pump could not afford a $6,100 plus property tax bill, which was up from zero. The reason it was up from zero is because the patriarch, Jack Schaller, the bar's longtime manager and owner, he died in May of last year at the age of 92. But he had a senior property tax exemption that meant the property tax bill on the property was zero. When Schaller died, his daughter took over. She lost that exemption, and thus the explosion in property taxes, relatively speaking. Here's the other thing, too, just in terms of the cost of doing business in Chicago. You look at the $6,000 property tax bill at Schaller's Pump.
The pump. I know it really well now.
Yeah, of course.
Because of you, Dan. But that is so sad. That
Chicago tavern license costs $4,400 per year.
How much?
$4,400 per year. $6,100 if you also want to have an outdoor patio, and $10,400 if you want to have a late night license open till 4 a.m., 5 a.m. on the weekends. And then to sell liquor, state license with the Illinois Liquor Control Commission is also required. That's $750. So, the cost of doing business adds up. And even though the property was paid off, they're looking at the cost of doing business at a place where I think Bud Lights are still $1.50.
Well, you'd have to sell $20 Bud Lights in order to foot that bill.
Well, I mean,
you would.
You'd have to certainly bring it to market rate and then still manage to attract patrons. And so it goes.
The Daily Clan used to go there all the time.
Well, sure. It's right across from the 11th Ward office, right across the street. It's Bridgeport we're talking about.
Well, why didn't the Daily step up and help these guys?
Because the Dailies wanted to shut bars down, and they did. I think the total number of bars, precipitous decline. Mayor Daley, Richard M., was very anti-tavern. He wanted to get rid of bars and taverns
in Chicago. Okay, that's what makes Chicago Chicago.
Well, I mean, I'm serious. The number is precipitous. We have it here in the story. Let me find it. Oh gosh. I mean, it's down by like a factor of 10. This is a story done, by the way, ChicagoCityWire.com. Anyway, I'll get the...
Well, were you interviewed?
No.
I'm just kidding. That was a joke. And you're not laughing.
Well, I only laugh at things that are funny.
No. Looking at these photos of this place, it's so amazing. It's the longest continuously run bar in the city of Chicago.
Yeah, since 1881. No.
And I think the bartender that they're featuring here has been here since its inception.
Chicago once had more than 10,000 taverns. Today it has fewer than 1,200. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Right across from the 11th Ward office. Here's something else. We did this story end of last week on property values and property taxes on Chicago's South Side, and how essentially with the property tax classification system in Cook County, as the rest of the state, but Cook County's special because commercial subsidizes residential, still not enough. You essentially are preventing, on the South Side we're talking about, poor families, overwhelmingly minority families. You're effectively preventing them from home ownership, from property ownership. That's what's actually happening. And we talked about the two markets for homes in Illinois. There's the government market as it defines value, and then there's the actual private market in terms of what people are willing to pay for your home. And we gave you a couple of examples. Let me just repeat them. West Pullman on Chicago's far south side A home, 4-bedroom red brick bungalow at 12252 South State Street, sold for $39,000 earlier this month in April. Or I guess last month now. $39,000 it sold for on April 4th. Property tax bill of $2,200, which is 5.7% of property value, which is about 6 times higher than the national average. The Cook County Assessor's Office, however, said the home was worth $147,000. Sold for $39,000. On the south side of West Pullman, there was a home at 12912 West Peoria Street that sold for $60,000 on April 11th. The Cook County Assessor's Office says the home is worth $108,000, but it sold for $60,000. The vintage farmhouse at 310 West 116th Street, 13 blocks north of there, sold the same day, April 11th of last month, for $9,000. The assessor, Cook County Assessor's Office, says it's worth $95,000, but it sold for $9,000.
See, that's a big difference there.
And what we found in
Why don't they just base the property taxes of what it actually sold for?
And
or would that be too honest?
Well, right. I mean, this is the issue. This is the mysticism of equalized assessed valuation. We did an analysis and we found just last 10 West Pullman home sales, minority neighborhood. 9 of the 10 were overvalued by the assessor, Cook County assessor. 5 by more than 250%. And remember, it's your assessed valuation. That's the basis of your property taxation. So here's a response from the Cook County Assessor's Office to our story.
Okay. Oh, did you speak to Joe Barrios himself?
I did not, and I didn't speak to Tom Scher either, but Tom Scher, who's the spokesman for Cook County Assessor Joe Barrios.
Our Tom Scher?
The former sports anchor. Yeah, he's a
I like Tom
spokesman
Scher.
for Cook County Assessor. Interesting, somebody leaves Chicago media, they go work for a Democrat. Real shocking. Unusual. Except every single time.
It's a stretch, yeah.
They said, we agree that property values have declined or remain stagnant in certain areas of Cook County. However, we strongly stand behind the accuracy, fairness, and equity of our assessment, said Tom Scher. State law describes at length home sales as those which do not include foreclosures, in-family sales, or other unusual circumstances. We value homes based on sales prices in normal at-length real estate transactions as defined by state law. This article did not use that system, and we therefore emphatically state that the figures are not accurate. So here's what they do. By law, by state law. So Scher is right about the state law, but this is codifying a scam. So we don't include foreclosures. Well, Chicago has more foreclosures than any big city in the country. And oh, by the way, does a foreclosure on your block affect your home value? Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Do many foreclosures on your block in some of these poor neighborhoods on the south side and the west side, does it affect the home value of homes that haven't been foreclosed upon?
Yeah.
Sure it does. Of course it does. That's the real world. That's the actual marketplace for property. But
my neighbors, because I was going to go into foreclosure, but instead I did a short sale, begged me. Like, you don't understand what it's going to do to all of our houses if you foreclose.
Right.
So we had to sit down a little, come to Jesus. We discussed things, and I ended up doing a short sale and lost a lot of money, but that's all right.
So
you win some, you lose some.
So what we did in our analysis is explain the market as it actually exists, what the market value is based on what people are willing to pay, based on the economics of a particular investment. What the Cook County Assessor's Office is doing, per state law, is propagating a scam. We're not going to include transactions that do actually impact your home value. We're not going to include them in how we assess your home's value and thus how we impose and then at what level of property taxation we impose. Is that clear, the scam that they're running? And so this is why you have essentially redlined. You want to talk about redlining with credit from banks? That's how it's usually characterized. You have the government, your Cook County Assessor's Office, and government at every level in the state through EAV, through Equalized Assessed Valuation, and how they cook the numbers to impose higher property taxes. They are redlining disproportionately poor minority families from home ownership. That's what's actually happening. And by the way, when it comes to locating a business in these communities that are jobs deserts, in part because they're equity deserts when it comes to private property, forget about it. In Linwood, South Suburban Cook County, the effective property tax rate for homeowners, 3%, which is 3 times the national average. The effective property tax rate for commercial property, 9%. Who's going to locate a business in Linwood when they can skip 10 minutes away to Indiana or Will County and pay a fraction of that? I mean, let's get real. Jim and Alsip, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, guys. I try not to crash here while I applaud everything you're saying.
Thank you.
Live the same thing in terms of property taxes. But just real quick, I was telling your screener that I opened a hotel downtown Chicago 2 years ago, and that $4,400 liquor license not only was required for our small lobby bar, but another one for the pantry and another one to deliver that to the room. So it was 3, not 1.
Right. Did you want to say your hotel or not?
No.
You don't.
No, he
I
wants to keep
understand.
his job.
Yeah, you don't want to. You don't want it to be condemned this afternoon. I get it, but no, it's a good point. And so even for high end businesses, you think, oh well, you know well they're just paying $4,400. No, so they run the scam because here's the philosophy of Cook County government, of Illinois government with respect to businesses, with respect to entrepreneurs, people with the ability,
Absolutely.
people with the ability to pay, people with the ability to pay.
That's not including the way use signage, the valet parking loading area. I mean, it goes on and on and on. It's amazing. And it's in the North Loop. I'm not there any longer. It was right over off of Wacker and Wabash. I'll leave it at that.
Wabash.
Okay.
Wabash.
Thanks for the call, Jim.
I have an idea of what hotel.
And Jim's not even including the bags of cash he has to drop off at the alderman's office.
Exactly. Got to pay to play. Wabash.
Harry and Wilmette, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, with all these over-assessed properties, this would be an ideal thing for Madigan's law firm to work on.
Too small potatoes for him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but good instinct there, Harry. But too small potatoes.
He only does the big
He does-
corporations.
he
or
does,
the Aon
yeah.
building, right?
Yeah, he'll do that. He'll do the Sears Tower, or whatever they call it now.
It's called the Willis Tower.
Sears Tower. Ken in Buffalo Grove.
Hi. I think the word scam was actually perfect. I have a shopping center in Cook County, and give you an example, last year my real estate taxes were $94,000. We did our assessment for this year at Cook County. They came back and said that my taxes should be $180,000. My lawyers come in and do their work and bring it back down to $106,000. So my taxes, not only did they go up, but I got a $17,000 bill from my attorneys.
Ugh.
This is the scam,
Yeah, it is.
and it doesn't stop.
It's a great.
Why can't they go based on the last year's taxes? Start there. Forget about reassessing. Go by last year's taxes, and then if it went up to 106, I'd owe the lawyer $1,500.
Right. Thanks
It is a scam.
Thanks for the call, Ken, and the example. I mean, this is happening everywhere. You want to understand why Illinois is circling the drain in terms of its economy. I mean, there's layers to this, but this confiscatory property taxation where you're robbing people of massive investments, whether it's a home or a commercial enterprise like Ken and his shopping center.
But even eminent domain, that's robbing people of their property. When they took over our family building, they wanted us to hire a realtor to sell the city of Niles the property that they're taking from us. Oh, and here's a realtor, handed out a card for the realtor we should use, who's friends with the mayor.
That's a taking, but what's actually going on is more pernicious because it's a taking across the board.
Yeah. Just saying it's been bad behavior for a long time.
Ralph and Rantoul.
Yeah, good morning. As far as the scam goes, there's a couple of different levers being applied so that the voting dullards of Illinois are anesthetized to the effect of what's going on. If you want to bring the property tax rates down so that they're in line with the rest of the country, well, then that $34,000 house that's sold, that market price, then all that would have to happen in order for the rate to be brought down would be that the assessed value would go up to about $600,000, right? Which would then make it obvious when somebody's sitting in Aurora and their house market rate right now is maybe $150,000 for a house, and they're complaining about their property tax rate at 5% of assessed value. Well, bring it down to the 0.9, 1%, whatever, and now their assessed value for their house is $1 million. Enjoy that. Maybe it would be a little bit more obvious what these legislators in Illinois are perpetuating.
Thanks, Ralph.